It was starting Perek Secher Sapayalim on that Pei Gimel Amral. Secher Sapayim va'amalem lahashkim ulahar. Someone who hires workers and he tells them after he said, "I want you to work on Tuesday," then he tells them on Monday night. He says to them, "I want you to get up before the time, the regular time, and I want you to stay. I want you to come work an hour earlier and stay an hour later." If it's a place that's not the minhag, if the normal time to get up is at sunrise and you work till sundown, that's all he's entitled to. He can't change and add on extra time. A place where the minhag is that he provides lunch, he has to do so. If he adds on, if in addition to giving, he has to give a snack, he should give them the snack. Everything goes according to what, when you say, "I'm hiring you for the day," whatever the t'nayim, whatever benefits are included, and whatever rules are normally included, that's what's included. He said, "Go hire for us workers." Told his son to hire for them workers. And he went and he hired them and he said, "Well, don't worry, we'll feed you." When he came to his father and said what he did, even if you give them an amazing suda, you haven't fulfilled your obligation, Iman. Because they are the sons of Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, and they're entitled. They're all amich kulam tzadikim. They're all nobility. Before they start their work, you have to go. You have to quickly go back. Don't wait for them to show up for work. Before they come to work, tell them, "Listen, we're changing the deal. If you want the job, you have to agree to negotiated terms. You're going to get bread and beans." Reb Shimon Gamliel says it wasn't necessary to go back and renegotiate, even though he said, "I'm going to feed you." The feeding is also kafim in the Gamadina, and you wouldn't have been required to give more than a normal meal. Even though you said you're going to provide them food, it doesn't mean the Gemara goes back to the first thing we said. If you hired Payalim and then before they show up, you say you want them to come early or late, it's not going to be, you can't force them. So Gemara Pshita, this is Pasha. The Tafalahu Agurayu, where he added to the normal amount that they paid. Instead of paying them $20 a day, he paid them $30 a day. I might think that it's understood that the reason why he added on to their pay was in order they should come earlier and stay later. Like we said before, we had this previously. They can answer back that no, we didn't agree to come earlier or later. We only agree, we took extra money that we're going to work harder. We thought it was a bonus to incentivize us to put enough full effort. Amar Reish Lakish, Payil b'chnisasei mishaloi, mitziyasei mishal ba'al habayis. A worker, when he's coming back from work, it's a little bit backwards. When he's coming back at the end of the day, he has to take from his time, meaning at the end of the day, he has to give up of his time to provide a full day of work to the boss. He has to stay till nightfall, meaning that at the end of the day, he wants to go home. Going home is for his benefit. He wants his day is over, so that's only after nightfall. But when he leaves to go to work in the morning, Mishal Balabayas. That's that he could do on the Balabayas' time, because he's heading to work. The Balabayas includes the time that it takes to travel to the job. That when the sun shines, that we gather and they'll crouch in their dens. Yatam lepayaloi, a person goes out to his work, and he works until the night. So from the facts that we say Yatzadam lepayaloi, we say when a person goes out, that means to work. So that's part of his work. Well, and then he works until the night. He has to work until it actually is night. He doesn't get any break, and then afterwards he could travel home. So what do we need this pasuk to tell you what you should do, how much a person is bestumis by default, how much he's supposed to work? So we're talking about a new city where they don't have a minhag. I'm sorry. Why do we look what the minhag is? Why do we need a pasuk for that? So we're talking about a new city where they don't have a minhag, so you can't go back and look and see what other people are doing. So even if even if they don't have a minhag, let's see the people of the town where they came from and do the minhag from there. We're talking about a city of immigrants from all over the place, and they don't have a specific minhag. We're also talking about where the owner had said, I'm hiring you according to what the Torah says, and therefore we had to say what the Torah's dictate is. But if there's a different minhag, we'd go after the minhag. Okay, that's the end of. Now we're going to start with the drashas and the maises. Darsh Reb Zeir v'Amila Tani Reb Yosef. Reb Zeir said, or maybe Reb Yosef said, "My dichsev tasach choshech." This is the end of a pasuk. We're going to say about the beginning of the pasuk soon. Tasach choshech v'yihi laila. The night will, the darkness will come, will descend, and it will be night. Then all the animals of the field will roam. The darkness will descend, and at night, that's the olam hazeh, where we're all groping in the darkness. It's like night. And then the animals of the field will roam. This is talking about the Rishayim. They're like a chaya, a wild animal in the forest. So this is the when the sun shines, they'll be gathered. And they'll crouch in their dens. The sun will shine for the tzaddikim. And the Rishayim will be gathered into Gehenna. And they'll crouch in their places. Every tzaddik will have his own place. That's appropriate to him. Pasuk continues, a person will go out for his work. The tzaddikim will go out to get their schar. And for their work until the night. When we said that tzaddikim will get their appropriate place, and the tzaddikim are going to be mekabel their schar, that's talking about someone who he stayed at tzaddik until his death. He kept up going until adei arav, until the night. Reb Shimon. This is going to go on for at least another blot so far. That's another blot, and I think I got like another blot and a half after this. It's all going to be about the continuation of this story. Reb Shimon Ashkach lahu per haguna. Reb Shimon found this policeman, the Katofis Ganvi. He was grabbing Kanavim and then putting them to death. How do you know who is the bad guy? Lav kechiyusa matili. Aren't they like wild animals, very cunning, that they can figure out how to fool you, or maybe that they're too strong to put them away? Why are they like wild animals? That they're like they're roaming about, all the wild animals. They're plotting in secret like a lion. Besuchai or Besuka in his den. But in any case, his point was, I'm not exactly sure if he meant that they're too hard to control or they're too hard to figure out. So he said, Dilma shakalta tzaddik v'shavka shushi. How do you know you're getting the Rishayim? The Rishayim, they're very cunning. And like we see from these psukim, they can disguise themselves. So Amalei, so the police said, Umaya Evid, what should I do? I'm under the Malkahu. This is the command of the king that we have to go after the bad guys, and I have to do my best. Let me tell you how you should catch them. So go in the fourth hour, go to the inn. He found someone who's drinking wine and he's holding the cup in his hand, and he's falling asleep. So you know he was up all night. So you can know what are the possibilities? If you ask him and he says he's a Talmud Chacham and he's falling asleep, it means because he got up early to learn, and that's the reason why he's so tired. And if he's a worker, maybe he got up early to work, or maybe he's a guy who works with wires, that this is a very quiet work that you could do even in the middle of the night. So maybe he got up early to work, or he was working late at night, and that's the reason why he's tired. But if he doesn't have any of these explanations, he's a ganav, and you should grab him and hand him in. The king heard about Elazar Shimon's chachma about how to catch ganavim. Amru, Kraina de Igasa iu lehevit pravanka. My Rebbe used to always say this: the one who reads the letter, he should be the one to deliver it. Meaning, if you have such a good idea, you think this is so good, why don't you do it yourself? As you Rebbe Elazar Reb Shimon, the Katav is Gambi. So Rebbe Elazar Reb Shimon had no choice. He was put into the position where he now had to be the one to catch the Ganavim. Let's talk about Jewish Ganavim, and they would be put to death. Va'azul shalach le Rabbi Yeshua ben Karcha Chaymetz ben Yayin. Rabbi Yeshua ben Karcha called him Vinegar, the son of wine. I mean, his father was Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai, and now he was the person who was handing over people to be killed. And how long are you going to allow our nation, people, the Bnei Yisrael, to be sent to be killed? He answered him back, I'm just getting rid of the thorns. These are not good people. So Rav Shimon Karcha said back to him, it's not your job. Let the Rebbeinu Shalom sort them out. One day, that was Rabbi Shua ben Karcha, but then this laundryman, guy who worked as a cleaner, and he called him also this name. So Rabbi Elazar Reb Shimon said, if this guy could be such a mechutzev to call me, who's a Talmud Chacham, this derogatory name, he says he's a Rashu. Amalu tafsu, and he told his guys, his policemen, to grab him and throw him in jail. Tafsu. And they grabbed him. After he calmed down, he went to let him out of jail. And he couldn't find him. He said about him, if you would have watched his mouth, he wouldn't have ended up in this place that he was put in jail and then he got taken away. So Kfu, and they ended up hanging him. It means he found that they hung him. They hung him before he could be paid him out of jail. Come to Kifa v'kabachi. So Beloved Hashem was very disturbed, and he went and he cried underneath the hanging. Amrulei Rabbi al Yoreh Necha. Don't worry about it. Shehub Noi Balinaris Hamarasa B'Yom Kippurim. They very much deserved it. They were people. It was a horrible person who was boil on Naira and Isham Kudeshes on Yom Kippur. He niach yodei al bnei me'er. He put his hands on his stomach. Amasisu bnei ma'ayisim sisu. My internal organs. The Gemara says that often says that the person gets their advice. They take advice from what does my gut say? Right? We also have that expression. So he said, my gut did not lead me astray. They should be happy. This person, it wasn't a Vadai. I just suspected he was a Russia because of the way he talked. The other people that I'm putting into jail that are getting killed because of stealing, where I have this whole strategy of catching them, that's a Vadai. There I have an actual reason to believe that the Ganovim, so Rabbi Elazar Shimon says, I'm sure that my gut is not will never, worm or maggot will be able to ever desecrate my guts. Even so, he was still concerned about it. Ashkiyu Sama Deshinsa. He took a sedative to fall asleep. They took him to a marble house. It's interesting, a place. I think we had this before. It's a place where no bugs can get in. The Karu, I guess, which is a more sterile operating environment. But Karu Lekresa, they opened him up. They took out many baskets full of. He was a very big man, as we're going to see later on. But they took out many baskets of his fat. And they put it out in the sun during the month of Tammuz and the month of Av. And they didn't rot. So the Gemara says, you see, he did this just to check if he was right that he could depend on his gut instinct. In fact, the Gemara called Tabanami Loisriach. Gemara says, what do you mean? Fats never rot. So it's true that his fats don't rot. But the tendons and the red sections that go through it, those do rot. Even though there were these red elements running through his fat, he said about himself, sorry, my flesh will rest forever. The Gemara, we're on Pei Gimel Amud Beis, right on the bottom. We went fast because this is all Agadata. So
sorry, I missed it.
No, it's so funny. Yeah. So anyway, we're talking about Rabbi Elazar Reb Shimon figured out a way to catch thieves, and therefore he was appointed as the guy in charge by the king. They should go catch thieves, and then they would be get killed. And he felt, he ended up feeling a little conflicted about it. So we're going to come back to that. Rabbi Shmuel Rabbi Yossi, in addition to Rabbi Elazar Reb Shimon, also was put in this position of being the designate by the king to go catch thieves. Pagabe Elio, and he met Elio Anavi. So Elio said to Rabbi Shmuel Rabbi Yossi, how can you do this? How can you allow Bnei Yisrael to be put in jail where they're going to get executed? He said, what can I do? I was appointed for this by the king and I don't have a choice. Your father was also put in this position. He ran away to Asia. Why don't you go run to a different place, to Lutka? When these two designates, these two sheriffs that were appointed by the king met each other, it almost sounds like the Gemara is saying that they got very wealthy from this. They were so large, their stomach stuck out so much, and when they would meet each other, a yoke of oxen could go in between them, underneath their stomachs. They were so far apart because their stomachs extended so much that the pair of oxen could walk underneath. And it wouldn't touch either of them. This Roman woman said to him, said, your children are obviously not yours. You're not capable of being Isaac and Tashmish. He said to her, our wives are even bigger than we are. So they said, what do you say? Obviously, it's possible in spite of the fact, because they're equally big, And they were able to be Isaac and Tashmish. Obviously, they're the mothers, they had the children. So she said, Culture King, if they're so big and you're so big, it seems physically impossible. Some people say this is what they answered her, this Roman woman. It said the size of our avers are such that it was so big that our avers are equally big. Therefore, it's possible. Because of the ava, it pushes aside the basa, and therefore it's possible. Why should they respond to her if she says such an awful thing? Let them just ignore her. Don't answer a fool when he talks to you foolishness. So they didn't want it to stay that it would be a laz, there would be a rumor about their children that they were not, they're really they were not the fathers. Rav Yochanan, Ibra de Bishma, Rabbi Yossi, Kechamas bas Tisha Kavan. He said the aver of Rabbi Shmuel was like a basket or a box of 9 kavan. Amar Papa Ibra de Rabbi Yochanan, Kechamas bas Chamisha Kavan. It was 5 kavan. Amala bas Shloisha Kavan, something 3 kavan. Rabbi Papa Gufa, Rabbi Papa himself, Kidekura to her panoi was the size of a large basket. Amar Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Yochanan says, I'm the last one left of the beautiful people of Yerushalayim. Hayman the boy Mechsi Shufrei, Rabbi Yochanan, whoever wants to have an idea of how beautiful Rabbi Yochanan was, Naisi Kisa de Kaspa, Mi Beisalki, he should take a brand new kais that comes from the blacksmith, a silver kais, and Nimlaya, Partside, the Rumna Sumka, and fill it with red pomegranate seeds, and then hele klila devarda sumka, and you should surround it with red roses, lepume around its edge, and put it out at twilight that the sun should shine, a red sun should shine on it. That will show you how beautiful he was. That luster, that shine is the same as the shining of Rabbi Yochanan. Rav Kahana had the same beauty as Rav Avo. Shufar de Rav Avo means Shufar de Yaakov. That of Rav Avo is that is of Yaakov. Shufar de Yaakov means Shufar de Adam Arishan. And Yaakov was like Adam Arishan. Rabbi Yochanan like the Chashav like. Rabbi Yochanan was not included in this list of the very beautiful people. Rabbi Yochanan did not have a beard, and therefore he was not included. Rabbi Yochanan have a uzl. I think this is like where Reb Chaim, where there's a lot of people who like write these pamphlets saying that you have to grow a beard. They bring this as a raya that a zaken, a beard is the hadras panim. Rabbi Yochanan have a uzl. We also have ashari tefillah. Rabbi Yochanan would go and sit at the doors to the mikvah. When the women would come out of the tefillah that they did for nida to go to their husband. Let them meet me in order they should have beautiful children like me. And they'll learn like me. Like we saw by Yaakov Avinu when he wanted to get the sheep to be spotted or striped, so he put spotted and striped sticks that they should see them. It's the same sort of thing. Yeah, the Rabbanan said to Rabbi Yochanan, aren't you worried you're going to cause an ayin hara by putting yourself out there as an example of beauty? I'm a descendant of Yosef. The ayin hara has no koyach on me. Ben Peiris Yosef, Ben Peiris Aliyayin. Yosef is the son of a par, and the Aliyayin, he's beautiful to the eye. That he goes over the eye, that he's shilat on the ayin hara, he goes above it. Says about Yosef that he should by the bracha for Ephraim and Menashe, says they should increase like a dog Ma dog and just like a dog, a fish, is covered by water and therefore there's no ayin hara on them. So too, the descendants of Yosef, Ephraim and Menashe, there's no ayin hara on them. So he said, Rabbi Yochanan said, I'm a descendant of Yosef, so therefore I'm not worried about ayin hara. Yumachad, have a kasachi, Rabbi Yochanan biyardana. Yochanan was swimming in the river, in the Yarden. Chaz Yeresh Galusha, Yeresh Galusha saw him, and he was very beautiful, and he thought he was a woman. Reish Lakish at that time was a ganef. He was a terrible Russia. He went to chase after him. He went to chase after Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Yochanan said to Reish Lakish, I see you're very strong, you're chasing after me, you jumped into the river to go after me. You should use that strength for learning. Amalei, Shufrecha Lanashi, he said, your beauty, he said, your strength is wasted that you're not using it for Torah. Reish Lakish answered back to him, your beauty is wasted on a man, you should be a woman. Amalei, Bach, if you're going to be Chayzer B'tshuva, I'm going to give you my sister, who's even more beautiful than me, as a wife. Kabbalah, Reish Lakish was makabel on it. He was so struck by Rabbi Yochanan's beauty, he was maskin. He wanted to jump out of the Yarden River onto the banks to go get his clothing. He couldn't do so. As we know, once he was makabel on himself to the oil mitzvahs and to learn Torah, he immediately lost his strength. Akarya, so let's talk about what happened. Reish Lakish was makabel to learn, and he went to learn with Rabbi Yochanan. So he taught him Mikra, he taught him Chumash, Vasnaya, he taught him Mishnah. Shavi Gavarabba, and he became a big Talmud Chacham. Yumachad, Hamafalgi Be Midrasha, they were having machlokes in the base medrash. Hasayif, Vasakin, a knife and a sword, Vapigion, Varoimach, and different types of spears, Magalyadu, Makaktir, and different types of farm implements. From when are they makabel tumah? Meaning when they're created, something has to be a kli in order to be makabel tumah. At what point in their what do you call it? The factory, in the process of creating them, do they become sanctioned as a kli that they become makabel tumah? So they said, one group said mishas k'mar malachtim, when you finish their work. When is it considered that the work on them is finished? Yochanan says, when you fire them in the kiln, when you make the final hardening in the kiln, that means that it's finished. He said, after they come out of the fire, they still have scorch marks on it. It's still dirty. You have to still put it in water to wash them off. Because Rabbi Lakish was a former robber, and he knew that it had to be a shiny weapon in order to intimidate people. You see, you bring something that looks like it's not finished, people won't be intimidated. Amalei lista belusiyos yada. Rabbi Yochanan said that a ganef knows his work. He knows what type of weapon he needs to do his work. He said, you used to be a ganef, so that's why you know the answer. He didn't mean it badly, but as we know, we saw the Gemara in Oino that when someone is a ger, you can't remind him of when he was a ger. Someone is a chayzer b'tshuva, you shouldn't remind him of his bad deeds. And Reish Lakish got insulted. Amalei Omaya honestly, Hasan Rebbe Karli, Hacha Rebbe Karli. He says, Reish Lakish told him back, you're making me rethink this whole thing. Back when I was the head of my gang of robbers, they all called me the Rebbe. They all looked up to me, and now they call me a Rebbe. So I'm in the same boat. Omar lei ahani lach lakavinach tachas kampei eshchina, said the obvious answer. What do you mean? It's true that you were called Rebbe, but it was for bad things. Now you're underneath the Rebbeinu Shalom's hanhaga. Cholish daite de Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Yochanan was very hurt that Rish Lakish said, whoa, well, like was chayzer on all of his learning and all he had done because of what Rabbi Yochanan said to him. Rabbi Yochanan said a sharp word to him. Cholish Rish Lakish. So because Rabbi Yochanan got upset, Rish Lakish got sick. Rish Lakish again was married to Rabbi Yochanan's sister, right? He had promised her when he met her in the river. When he met him in the river, he promised him to marry him to his sister. Asay Achse. So that sister came Kabachya. She came to cry to her brother. Amalei Asay B'Shvil B'ni. She said, "You have to back off. You have to go be mispal for my husband because of my children. I don't want my children to lose their father. Amalei, as for Yisaimecha, leave your Yisaimim, your orphans. Ani Achia. Rabbi Shalom says, I'll take care of them." So she said, "Asay b'shvil amanusi. Don't make me into an almana. Amallah, amnasecha alay tiftachu. The almanas can depend on me." So Rabbi Yochanan stood fast in his anger at Rish Lakish, and Rish Lakish Taka remained sick. Nach nafshe Shim ben Lakish. In the end, he died because of this. Rabbi Yochanan was very regretful that he had not relented. Amru Rabbanan, man lezel yasvadaita. Who should go to Rabbi Yochanan to calm him down? Nezel Belazar ben Pedas. Let's send Rabbi Belazar ben Pedas mechad ben Shmaitza, because he's very sharp in his learning. He'll talk to him in learning, and that will make him feel better. Altul Yosef Kamei. So Belazar ben Pedas went to Rabbi Yochanan and he sat in front of him. Call also to have a Amar Rabbi Yochanan. Whatever Rabbi Yochanan would say, Amalei Tanya de Messiah. I have a brisa that supports what you're saying. Amar At Kabbalah At Kabbalakisha, you're trying to replace Rish Lakish. Balakisha is referring to Rish Lakish. Balakisha, Karina Milsa, when I would say something, have a makshali etzem va'arba kushyasa. Upariknale. Asem va'arba peruke. He would ask, when I would say something, he would ask 24 kashas on it, and they would answer 24 answers on each kasha. And from the discussion, from all the questions and the answers, we'd be able to come to the understanding. And you tell me there's a brayse that supports me. You think I don't know that I'm saying the right din? That means he said the din, and he would say this is the din, and Rish Lakish would argue with him and say, why is that the din? Why it's not shver on this and on that? And they would come back and forth. They'd have a shaklavataria. But by you just saying there's another brayse that says the same thing, it doesn't increase the shakla, the risk of the rice that they're talking and learning. Have a ka'azul v'kara ma'anya. So Rabbi Yochanan was not menucham. He didn't get he wasn't consoled, and he ripped his clothing with kabachi and he would cry. Amar heicha at balakisha, heicha at balakisha. Where's Rish Lakish? Where's Rish Lakish? Have a katzabach, and he would cry out at the shav daitamineh. And he did it so long that he became the test. Rashi says that he lost his mind. And the Rabbanan asked for Achmanas on him, and he ended up dying rather than remaining in a state of being out of his mind. Okay, so that's the end of the story of Rabbi Yochanan. Now we're going back to Belazar Reb Shimon, who was the person who was appointed as the sheriff and would put people into jail. And he made this whole test, this surgical test, that he put out his fats. He had a surgery, they took out his fats. The Gemara says that the person trusts his gut that he's doing the right thing. So he literally took his guts and put it outside, and he saw that they didn't become rotten in the sun. So he said, that my guts are right. In the people that I'm putting into jail and that are getting executed, they deserve it, they were shame. So he was consoled in that which he was worried about, that he was doing the wrong thing. Now the Gemara continues. Even after all this that Rabbi Elazar Shimon did to assuage his concerns, he still was nervous that maybe he was doing the wrong things, but from these people that he was putting into jail. He was makabel on himself Yisurin. To have a meichile shisin namti. At night he would put underneath him 60 bandages, Letzafra negdi mitusa, and in the morning it would take out from him shisa mashkili dama v'kiva. They take out 60 mashechli dama v'kiva. They take out 60 buckets of blood and pus that were collected in all these bandages from all the isurim, from all the wounds that he had on his body. L'machar avdalei devisu shisa mini lefta. And in the morning, his wife would prepare for him 60 different types of figs, and he would eat them and he would be restored from the pain he had overnight. His wife didn't let him go out to learn, in order that he shouldn't get involved in being Isaac and Tyra and overexert himself and die, because he was so stressed out from these Yisurin. At night, when the next night would come after he finished the day, he would welcome back the Yisurim. He'd call them my brothers and my friends. But in the morning, he would say, go away. I want the Yisurim to go away so I should be able to learn during the day. Yumachad, Shama Devisu, one day his wife heard him that he was welcoming the Yisurim. She didn't know about it, so he was suffering. She was helping him. Amrale, at kamaisis luhu yaluyach. You're bringing this all upon yourself, all these Yisurim. Chalus mama shabay saba. They were living, he was still in Kailo, and her father was supporting them, and she had to pay for all these bandages and all the different types of figs in order to restore him. She said, you're using up all our money. Imrida. So she rebelled against him. Azula based Nash, and she went back to her father's house. So after she left, these 60 sailors came, that they had gotten caught in a storm, and they were misspelled, the Baruch saved them, because of Shimon Elazar. They brought him 60 slaves, and these 60 slaves were holding 60 chests full of treasure, and the sailors made him his 60 kinds of figs that he needed to restore him. And he ate them. So he said that it's everything, the Rebbe Shalom arranged that everything should be restored that he was missing when his wife left. One day, his wife said to their daughter, go check on your father, see how he's doing. At this time, Asya, and she came. He said, go tell your mother, that of ours is better than that of theirs, meaning we have now more because of these sailors that came than I used to get from your father. He called about himself, I'm like the Tyra is like that which a seicher, a merchant gets. He gets his food from afar. He said, I got what I needed from these sailors that came from out of the blue. Bishasi ubari. So he ate and he drank and he got better. Nafak lebei midrasha. He went out to this medrash. Aisel kamei shisim mini dama. They brought in front of him 60 types of dam. Tarinu. And he said, meaning 60 women came to show him maris to find out if they were nidus. And Tarinu, and he said they were all tar. Have a kamarani rabban and v'ami. Said to, what are the chances that he saw 60 people and all of them are tar? Amalu im kamoisi who? He said to them, if it's true what I'm saying that they're all tar, yichyu kulam scharim. They should all give birth to males. And if I'm wrong, if even one daughter is born to all 60 of them, that will prove that I'm wrong. And Taka came out like he said. Vasikuluhu Rebelaza al Shame. Al Shmaya. They all call them Rebelaza after him, because he was the one who caused them to be born by being matar their mothers to their fathers. Tanya Amar Rebbe, Kama Priya Verivia Bitla Rishazumi Yisrael. Rebbe said, look how much Priya Verivia was bottled from the Yidden because of that king who made him be the policeman and the sheriff to go chase after thieves when he could have been sitting in the base medrash and being matar nidus. You have a nicha nafshe when he died. Amalu ledvisu. Yadana b'derabanan derasicha alai. He said, I know that the Rabbanan are not happy with me that I used to send Yidden, right? They complained to him, why are you sending Yidden to be executed? They're not going to give me a proper burial. Ugnin be'ilso, he put me in the attic. And don't worry about it. You shouldn't be scared for the fact that you're leaving your husband's corpse in the attic. Amar Shmuel bar Nachmani, Ishtayele Ema de Rabbi Yonasan, Ishtayele de Visu de Rabbi Elazar of Shimon. The mother of Yonasan told her that the wife of Rabbi Elazar of Shimon said, "Loit pachas me tamni sorry, loit femi asher v'tnin shanim." Somewhere between 18 and 22 years, Ognisa be'Eliasa, he was in my attic. Have a salikna minyana le b'mazaya, when I would pull out one of his hairs. He have a mishtamta bin samine. He have a salikna minyana le, when one of his hairs fell out. B'mazaya he have a mishtama bin samine have a asidama. I don't know what the kiyaz is. But in any case, when a hair fell out, some blood would come from that spot, meaning that he was so perfectly preserved that even a hair falling out causes him to bleed. So his body was fully preserved. Yom echad chazoi riksha dekanofik meonya. She saw a worm that was coming out of his ear. Cholish datoy. She got a little upset that he was finally deteriorating. Eschazile bechalmo. So he appeared to her in a dream. Amalei loy midihu. Don't worry about it. Yom echad shamai bilzilusa d'tuber rabbanan. I once heard one of the chachamim being embarrassed. V'loy machoy, and I didn't protest. Kedeboy, like I should have. You have so that's the reason why I'm being punished, that this worm came out of my ear, but it's not because my time is up and you don't have to worry that I'm going to start to become decompose. When two people had a din Torah, have a kaimi abava, they would stand outside the house. Amar mar milsa, amar milsa. Each one would say their side. Even after his death, somehow his I guess he called from Shemayim and was telling them what the halacha was. I don't know how. Don't we have a rule like Shemayim? How could someone who's not alive give a psak? Have to ask of David Cohn this.
Article brings down a whole thing about this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The reason I was thinking about it is I recently heard like a podcast about artificial intelligence, using artificial intelligence to paskin. And David, I think it was Herschel Schachter said that as long as you check it up, if it paskin something and it has all the relevant sources, there's no reason not to listen to it. So this is right. Did they say the same thing over there? That it doesn't have to be you go paskin without being a yid, without being a person.
He says from the morale that explains that it was a spiritual voice was heard in the hearts and minds of litigants in Plaza City, and this moved them to arrive at a just settlement on their own.
Right. Because you need for psak, you need has to be a yid, it has to be a Talmud Chacham. It needs some kind of smicha.
Here they just came to settlements on their own, it seems like.
Right. That's that makes sense. Yumachan have a kominse the visu bahadi shvavasa. One day his wife was arguing with a neighbor, Amalei to hey Kabaila. And the neighbor said, you should be like your husband who's lying dead in the attic. So Nitin Likfura, then he was never buried. It's not proper that it should reach such a point that people are talking in the streets about his corpses lying in the attic. Some say that Reb Shimon bar Yochai appeared in a dream to the Rabban. Amalu prayed achas yesh li beinechem. I have one fledgling, one small bird. Reb Shimon bar Yochai was his father. He said he's still there amongst you. He should be buried and allowed to proceed and go into Shemayim together with me. Also, Rabbanon la'asuke beit. The Rabbanon went to go bury him. The people of his city did not allow them. They stopped them. The whole shani to have a naim, Rabbi Eliezer Bar Shimon Bal Yasa. As long as Rabbi Eliezer Bar Shimon was lying in this attic, there was no there were no wild animals that came into the city. He protected them from the wild animals. Yumachan Mal Yum Kippurei Hava, one Erev Yom Kippur, have a treaty, and everyone was busy with preparing for Yom Kippur. Shad Rabbanon of Biri, they got people from a different city, from Biri. Askular say they went and took his coffin. They brought him to the cave where his father Shimon Yochai was buried. They found a snake that was coiled around the cave and didn't let them in. Amalu, achna, achna, paschi picha, snake, open your mouth. Ben allow the son to join his father. Pasachlu, and he opened, and they were able to bury him. Shalach Rabbi l'daber be'ishtay. Rabbi sent to his wife that now that she was an almana, he wanted to marry her. Shochalei. She said, my husband, Rabbi Eliezer Bar Shimon, was Kodesh. Relative to him, you, Rebbe, are like Choil. Tamin Amrin, another way, the way they say this, the way they express such a thing, that Klisha Nishtamish Kodesh shouldn't be Nishtamish and Choil, they say, Ba'ata Demari Besa Tala Zaina, in the place where the master of the house hangs his weapons, Kova Raya Kolsa Tala. Should the shepherd hang his knapsack? Shalach la nihida b'tayra gadol mimeni. So Rabbi sent back to her, it's true that he was a bigger Talmud Chacham than me. Av ma'asim tavim mi gadol mimeni. Was he bigger than me, even a ma'asim tavim? I guess we say that only a Isha really knows how good of a person her husband is in ma'asim tavim. Shalach le b'tayra mi gadol mimcha lo yadana. She said back to him, listen, I don't know about Torah, that's not my sphere. I don't know how much of a good person my husband was. But Ma'asim Tavim Yadana, when I said to you that he was bigger than you, I meant specifically a Ma'asim Tavim. The Kabbalah Yisura, because in the Kabbalah on himself, Yisura. But Torah Mahi, why did Rebbe concede that Reb Shimon Gamliel was greater than him in Torah? The Chaviyasar Reb Shimon Gamliel, Rabbi Shua ben Karcha, Asaf Saleh, when they were sitting on the benches in front of their Rebbe, Yasu Kamayu, when they would stand, they were sitting, they were the Rebbeim, Shimon Gamliel and Rabbi Shua ben Karcha. Yasu Kamayu, Rebbe, Elazar Reb Shimon, Rebbe. Elazar Reb Shimon and Rebbe was standing in front of them. Ara, the Rebbe was the son of Shimon Gamliel. Makshu Umafarku. So they would ask and they would answer. When they would say something, when these Rebbeim, Shimon Gamliel and Rabbi Shua ben Karcha would say something, Elazar Reb Shimon and Rebbe would answer and ask. They would ask kashas and then answer the kashas. They said, why are they sitting on the ground in front of us? Well, we darshan. Avdulu Safsali. They made for them benches to sit on. Askinu. They went and sat on them. Amalam Reb Shimon Gamliel. He said, you're making my son, Rebbe. He is my one and only son, and you want me to lose him by putting him up, by placing him above other people. You could cause an ayin hara, and he's going to die. So I don't want him to be treated differently. Achsu, so they took him down from the place that they put him up on. Achsu Rebbe. You're taking down Rebbe because he's your son, Reb Shimon Gamliel. What about Reb Elazar Reb Shimon? His father, Reb Shimon Yochai, died. So now, since he doesn't have a father to protest for him and protect him and take him down, he should die. Achsu Nami Rebbe Elazar Reb Shimon. Elazar Reb Shimon was also taken down. Chalash Daite. See, Rebbe got.
Elazar
Shimon had a chalisha sadas. Right, he had a chalisha sadas. Amaka shivusu likavasi. He was upset because he said, "Now you're saying that I'm the same as Rebbe, and the truth is I'm bigger than Rebbe." Adu yumuk you have a Amar Rebbe Milsa have a Messiah Rebbe Elazar Shimon. Until that point where Rebbe Elazar Shimon didn't feel insulted, he was put on the same level as Rebbe. So he used to, when Rebbe would say something, he would support him. become Elki. I'm a Rebbe. Yesh l'hashiv. Rebbe would say, I have an answer to the question that the Rebbe had posed. Rebbe Shimon say, this is what you want to answer, and this is the reason why your answer is no good. And he said, now you're going to make it into a bunch of questions that have no meaning. Rebbe Shimon would knock down in learning, he would attack Rebbe. Cholish died to the Rebbe. Rebbe got upset. Also, Amalei Lavua, he went and told his father, he told Reb Shimon Gamliel, Amalei Beni, Al Yorelecha. He said to my son, don't be upset. Shu Ari ben Ari. Reb Shimon is the son of Reb Shimon Bar Yochai. So he's a lion who's the son of a lion. Ba'ata Ari ben Shoyel. But you, Reb Shimon Gamliel said to Rebbe, you're the son of a fox. I'm your father, and I'm not so choshev in learning. V'hainu da Amar Rebbe, Shloisha anavosnin hein. There are three groisa anavim. Be'eluhein. Abba, my father, meaning Reb Shimon Gamliel, from this story that we just said, that he called himself a fox, that he considered himself not choshev in learning. U'bnei Reseira, v'yodis ben Shol. Reb Shimon Gamliel hadamar. We just explained how we see Reb Shimon Gamliel's anivus. Bnei Beseira, what's the anivus of the Bnei Beseira? The Amar Mar, Hashivu B'Rosh, Uminiu L'Nasi. When Hillel came to Bava, the Bnei Beseira had been the Nasiim. They said, Hillel is bigger than us, he should be the Nasi. So that was a sign of anivus. Yonasan ben Shol, the Ka'amalei LeDavid, Ba'ata Timlech al Yisrael. Yonasan, the son of Shol, said to David, he told David, you should be the king of the Yidden, and I'll be your second in command. So the Marmi Mai, Dilma Yonasan ben Shol, the Chazar the Gar Alma, Basa David. Maybe the reason why Shol conceded or said that he should be the king is because they saw that people were following David. But they would say the name of the Chazal Hill, the other Minai, and Hillel, they taka had to be conceded to Hillel because Hillel was greater than them in learning. Reb Shimon Gamliel certainly is a case of anis. Amar Rebbe, Chavivin Yisur. Okay, we'll stop over here. It's already pretty late.
All right. Thank you. Have a great Shabbos.